A recent comment by a U.S. senator has drawn attention to the ongoing discussions surrounding the late financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, particularly in relation to President Donald Trump. The senator reportedly likened Trump's attempts to attribute blame for the Epstein scandal to Democrats, to a CEO blaming Coldplay, implying an absurd and misplaced accusation. This analogy comes amidst renewed public interest in the Epstein case, fueled by ongoing calls for the release of more related documents and information, as well as recent news reports. Trump himself has ordered the Attorney General to release any and all grand jury testimony related to Epstein, subject to court approval, while simultaneously denying any improper ties to the financier. The relationship between Trump and Epstein has been a subject of scrutiny for years. They were known to socialize in the 1990s and early 2000s, with reports of them attending parties together and Trump having flown on Epstein's private jet on multiple occasions. However, Trump has consistently maintained that their friendship ended long before Epstein's legal troubles became widely known, and that he had a falling out with Epstein over a real estate deal in 2004. Epstein was arrested in 2019 on federal charges of sex trafficking minors and died by suicide in a New York jail cell while awaiting trial. His death and the broader network of individuals associated with him continue to be subjects of public debate and speculation. The recent senator's remark underscores the political tension and efforts to assign responsibility in the complex and sensitive Epstein affair. The senator's mocking comparison of President Trump's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein scandal to a CEO blaming Coldplay highlights several key issues surrounding the case and its political implications. Blame shifting and accountability. The core reason for the senator's jab is the perception that Trump has been attempting to deflect blame and downplay the seriousness of the Epstein issue, particularly as it relates to alleged client lists and broader transparency. Trump has recently tried to pivot the narrative by suggesting the controversy is a scam perpetuated by the Democrats, despite his own administration's previous actions and statements regarding the release of Epstein-related documents. This has led to accusations that he's trying to evade accountability and put the focus elsewhere. Unfulfilled promises and internal discontent. Another significant reason for the criticism stems from the unfulfilled promises made by Trump and his administration regarding the Epstein files. Many of Trump's supporters, particularly those on the far right who embrace deep state theories, have long demanded the release of all documents related to Epstein, believing they would expose a vast network of powerful individuals. However, recent statements from the Justice Department and FBI, including a memo denying the existence of a definitive client list and confirming Epstein's suicide, have angered and disillusioned some of these loyalists. This has created a rift within Trump's base, with some accusing his administration of a cover-up. The senator's comment likely capitalizes on this internal discontent, suggesting that Trump's explanations are as illogical as a CEO blaming a band for corporate failings. Political posturing and public scrutiny. The Epstein case remains a highly sensitive and politically charged topic. The senator's remark serves as a form of political posturing, aiming to highlight perceived inconsistencies or shortcomings in the president's approach. It also underscores the ongoing public scrutiny of anyone associated with Epstein, given the horrific nature of his crimes. The analogy, while humorous, conveys a serious message about the need for transparency and genuine efforts to address the lingering questions surrounding the Epstein network, rather than engaging in what critics view as evasive maneuvers. The senator's quip about Trump blaming Coldplay for the Epstein scandal points to several immediate and potential long-term consequences for the president and the political landscape. Erosion of trust within his base. Perhaps the most significant consequence is the fracture within Trump's own support base. For years, many of his ardent followers, particularly those embracing deep state theories, have eagerly anticipated the release of all Epstein-related documents, believing they would expose powerful elites. Trump himself fueled these expectations. Now, with his administration downplaying the significance of further releases and his attempts to blame Democrats, a segment of his base feels betrayed and disillusioned. Some have openly called him out of touch or even weaklings for his recent stance, threatening to withdraw their support. This internal dissent could weaken a crucial part of his political backing. Increased political scrutiny and Democratic leverage. Democrats are seizing on this opening. They are demanding full transparency and using the controversy to highlight perceived inconsistencies in Trump's actions and past rhetoric. This provides them with a new line of attack, allowing them to portray Trump as someone who, despite campaigning on draining the swamp, is now potentially involved in a cover-up, or at the very least, not delivering on promises of full disclosure. The senator's comment itself is an example of this political leveraging, aiming to make Trump's position seem absurd and untrustworthy. Distraction from other agendas. The ongoing focus on the Epstein case and the internal and external political bickering could become a costly distraction for the Trump administration. Instead of focusing on other policy initiatives or achievements, time and energy are diverted to managing this controversy. This can hinder legislative efforts and broader public messaging. Some critics even suggest that the continued controversy could lead voters to question the administration's competence in governing if they are perceived as being off chasing rabbits rather than addressing core issues. Long-term impact on credibility. In the long run, persistently shifting blame and failing to fully address public concerns about the Epstein case could erode Trump's credibility with a wider audience, not just his base. The perception of an administration that makes grand promises but then backtracks or offers unconvincing explanations can have lasting negative effects on public trust. The ongoing Jeffrey Epstein saga, highlighted by the senator's recent Coldplay remark, suggests several likely predictions and potential solutions to navigate such politically charged scandals. Predictions. First, we can anticipate continued political weaponization of the Epstein case. Given the high-profile individuals tangentially linked and the conspiratorial narrative surrounding it, both sides of the political spectrum will likely continue to use it to attack opponents and galvanize their bases. For President Trump, the issue will remain a thorn in his side, particularly as some of his most ardent supporters feel let down by his administration's perceived lack of full transparency. This internal discontent could manifest as reduced enthusiasm or even disengagement from a segment of his base, potentially impacting future elections. Second, there will be persistent demands for transparency and accountability. Despite official statements from the Justice Department and FBI, public skepticism, particularly among those who believe in a deeper conspiracy, will likely persist. This will keep the pressure on government institutions to release more information, even if it's already deemed non-existent or irrelevant by official channels. The recent calls for a special counsel investigation, even from some Republicans, exemplify this ongoing pressure. Third, the saga will further erode public trust in government institutions. When politicians engage in blame games, and when official narratives clash with public expectations, it deepens the cynicism about government's ability or willingness to be fully transparent and impartial. This erosion of trust can have long-term consequences for civic engagement and faith in democratic processes. Solutions. Addressing the fallout from such scandals and preventing future blame games requires a multifaceted approach. First, unwavering commitment to transparency and truth is paramount. Governments and legal bodies must proactively release all legally permissible information in a timely and accessible manner, even if politically inconvenient. Hiding or selectively releasing information only fuels speculation and distrust. A clear, consistent message from all relevant agencies is essential. Second, focus on accountability, not just blame. Instead of pointing fingers, the emphasis should be on holding individuals responsible for proven wrongdoing, regardless of political affiliation or social standing. This requires strong, independent investigative bodies and a judicial system that operates free from political interference. Third, fostering a culture of constructive dialogue and shared responsibility in politics can help. Instead of immediately defaulting to partisan attacks, leaders should emphasize problem-solving and collaboration. While challenging in a highly polarized environment, This could involve cross-party commissions for sensitive issues or public education initiatives to promote media literacy and critical thinking. Finally, rebuilding public trust requires consistent demonstration of integrity and responsiveness. This means politicians and officials must prioritize public service over personal or partisan gain, consistently deliver on promises, and genuinely listen to citizens' concerns, even when those concerns are based on skepticism or conspiracy theories. It's a long-term endeavor that requires sustained effort across all levels of government.